Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the World Championship Series Season 1 2015, live from the ESL Arena here in Cologne. That's right, we're bringing you more live action for StarCraft II than you can shake a stick at. Yesterday we saw some excellent action in StarCraft II from Group C, and we're hoping for more of the same tonight with Group D, but it's a little bit different. Frankly, they're a bunch of travellers, let's face it. We've got a Canadian who came to Europe to play, we've got a European who went to Australia to play, and we've got an Australian who came to Europe to play. Yeah, I'm as confused as you are. The good news is we've got one steady Terran because he stayed in Russia. So all good news, 4 great players to look forward to in Group D. Before we get there though, let's check in with the group and the round of 32 and show you exactly what's gone down so far. Of course, we already played Groups A and B over in America, Group C yesterday, Group D today, and we'll move on to E and F in the next 2 days as well. You've got a weekend full of StarCraft II action ahead of you. And the final 2 groups will be done by our American friends at the end of February. That all means it leads to the round of 16 and the grand finals. Before we get there though, we're going to concentrate today on Group D, and these are the thoughts of Sean Apollo Clark.
Group D, can the experienced Terran hold strong against 3 determined Zergs? Happy is the veteran of this group. He has 7 consecutive Premier League appearances, including a top 8 last season. Kane makes his debut in the WCS. He'll be looking for his first breakout performance this evening. It may be a group of opportunity for our other newcomer into the WCS, Australia's #1 player, PiG. He excels in Zerg vs Zerg. This is the perfect group. But he'll have to look out for his former rival Targa, who is considered one of the best Zerg vs Zergs in Europe.
Thanks to Sean there with his thoughts on Group D. Let's see how it pans out today. Joining me at the desk now, not Apollo, but instead Stefano and Todd. It's the French arm of the casting crew, I guess, because we had 3 each now. It's worked out quite nicely, isn't it? If you include Funker as well.
Yeah, we're taking over.
Yeah,
slowly. We're
really?
just slowly establishing one by one.
Right, just replace each one as you go along, and then it'll be in France next thing we know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We won't tell you the plan right now. Just
okay. So you're not going to give me the plan. That's probably a good idea. Yeah. 4 very interesting players in there. 3 Zergs as well. So you must be excited tonight.
I'm thrilled because I know the players for once, so I can actually speak about it and explain what's happening and stuff. So I'm glad. I won't look as stupid as yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Because predictions weren't
not really great, but today I'm aiming for 100%.
100%
accuracy.
But correct today.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to establish that because it wasn't good yesterday in terms of predictions. Let's take a look at all 4 players in the group today. It's a very interesting mixed kind of group, but there's, in a way, Australia have 2 guys to root for today because we've got a Targa in there who's, although he's Norwegian, spent 3 years in Melbourne as well as obviously the home man PiG. So Australia must be staying up. Hang on, let me work this out. Must be very late in Australia right now.
Yeah, it must be. Not sure though if a Norwegian living in Australia for some time makes him count as an Australian, but to me the interesting story for this group is how open it is in terms of possibilities. I don't feel like there is really a clear favorite.
Really? Okay.
And there is a lot of results that could be possible.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's just overview the 4 of them. We've got Kane and we've got PiG, who are first-time Premier League players, first time they've qualified. We've got Happy, who's been actually in all 7 Premier Leagues, so it's his 7th consecutive season, and Targa, who's coming into his 3rd. So does experience play into account here, Stefano? Do you think maybe Happy and Targa are the 2 favourites?
Not really. I think even though Kane came quite late compared to them to the scene, he managed to get really into the high level quite quickly, and he got used to the scenes and stuff really fast. So I think he has not really an edge, but he came back to the level even though he came late. And Happy has been here for always, with Warcraft 3 and stuff. So I don't see him being quite worried about it at all.
All right. Okay. Let's take a look at the brackets, dual tournament format, as ever we have here at the WCS and of course at GSL. We'll start off with Happy versus PiG, and then we'll move on to Kane versus Targa. That'll be our 2nd game. Winner plays each other for the 1st place in the group in the round of 16. Does it make it easier for Happy, do you think, the fact that he's only had Zergs to practice again, or does he have such a familiar style to everyone and he's never going to change that it doesn't really matter?
It should have made it easier if he would practice custom games, but I know him very well and he only plays ladder, so no.
Okay. Any thoughts on the 3 Zergs? Who do you think's the best of the 3?
The best of the three, I would say, out of experience, Kane. But for surprises, PiG.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll find out which one is going to pull some surprises out of the hat. We've already had some in the first three groups. Are we going to get it again in Group D? Time now to introduce you to our first two players that are playing our first match. And our first man is Steady Eddie, frankly. He is the Terran that everyone knows exactly how he's going to play. But he still manages to win match after match after match. He ended 2014 on a massive high with two big top 8 finishes at DreamHack and in WCS Season 3. Please welcome Team Empire's Happy. And his opponent is a man who has had to tame no lesser man than King Kong. And finally, at the very, very last attempt in Challenger League, he was able to take down King Kong. Does that make him the king now, rather than the Kong? I'm not sure, but he's definitely here for fighting for Australia. Please welcome XL5's PiG. Okay, with our players in place, let's turn our attention to Happy in a little bit more depth. I mentioned there on the introductions, two fantastic finishes at the end of 2014 after what was really, by his standards, a mediocre year, really. Although he'd qualified for Premier League, he'd gone out 17th to 24th 2 seasons in a row. Finally got to the top 8, wasn't able to quite crack it, and then a home advantage, if you like, at DreamHack, again, top 8 finish. By any stretch of imagination, both of those results are high level for him. So how does he go to the next level? Because he's never gone beyond the round of 8.
You know, it's funny because anything that will apply to like another player doesn't really apply to Happy, because he's this guy who through the years has always been so consistent with practice. He still plays 1,000 games, or thousands of games per season in ladder, and he never really ever stops. And sometimes his results are good, sometimes they are not as good. I really don't know what makes a difference in the end. I guess maybe his opponent's preparation to play against his style. So that's probably what's going to come into play here. And I feel like it's more about how they're going to react to how he plays rather than Happy, who always pretty much delivers.
Yeah, I mean, you've played Happy a ton of times over the years. How did you prepare for him? Did you not even study his games because you knew exactly how he was going to play?
I know what he's doing, and his style is just like to practice one single play style and trying to make it perfect. But I think like in tournaments, it doesn't really work like that, because you can never predict everything which happen. And it's good to like have other stuff in your pocket, not only like focus on one single strategy. And that's, I think, Happy weakness, because he always practice the same single thing for 1,000 games. So obviously it's perfect, but if there's a minor chance in the game, he will be kind of confused. I don't know how to react to that. Okay,
when you played in these kind of tournaments and you had a little chance to prepare for a player, obviously it's easier, but when you've got a group of players all playing the same race, was that even easier to play for you?
It is. It depends actually, but like for me, I play only on ladder, so it doesn't really matter if I made only Zergs or only Protoss. I never play in custom games, so it doesn't really change my practice methods. But for Happy, I know he has like a good TvZ, and he must be happy. Like he knows if he loses, he still misses a Zerg, or if he wins, he misses a Zerg anyway. So he won't be like worried on this side.
Okay, Todd, his TvZ is not particularly renowned, but it's not bad either. I mean, it's kind of like his middle rate, if you like, in terms of what his percentages are right now. Nothing seems to faze him. He's kind of, like I think you said to me off camera, he's kind of okay if he loses, he's okay if he wins. We don't really see too much emotion either way, really. Is that his temperament going into the match? Like Stefano said, he's got Zergs to play, just kind of, well, I've got another Zerg to play. Or does he get affected, do you think, mentally by the fact, oh, God, I've lost to a Zerg now, I've got 2 more that I've got to get through?
Unless he's going through a rough patch against Zerg on ladder, I really don't think he's going to be worried about anything. He's just going to want to execute his game plan that he's practiced so many games and look to just try to outplay these guys from there.
I mean, he is the model of consistency, and his results suggest the same thing. 7 consecutive seasons in the Premier League. There's only 6 players that have done that. He's one of them. It's impressive, right? Yeah,
definitely. It's very, very hard to stay consistent. You're always going to have like some seasons where you kind of like butcher your run and you end up dropping out too early, but Happy is definitely one of those guys. He practices a lot and it always shows.
Okay, let's move on to the Australian. Very, very different style of player, very charismatic, a little bit older as well, 26 years of age now, so age starting to become a factor. Stefano's already thinking, what, 21? 21's fine, he's retired. 26. but in the last 12 months has probably appeared to go another level. He's moved to Europe for 6 months over last summer, competed in DreamHack a couple of times, didn't perhaps perform as well as he wanted to, I know that much, but just the fact that he's now starting to play against the European players on the ladder, he's getting away from the SEA action, if you like, of all those Zergs that are beating him up over there, and can finally start to refine his play, and he started to look like a much better player.
Yeah, I think that Euro trip did wonders for PiG. He started playing a lot better. He didn't have any very deep run in a bunch of the tournaments that he attended, but he mostly lost, I think, to Koreans or very high-level players in general. So I think that's the regional lock coming into play here is definitely going to give him a big chance here to maybe do a bigger results than ever before. And I do think that he has chances to make it through this group, but it's not going to be easy either.
I think you have a little bit of inside information, or at least you did from a few months back. When he was over here, he was practicing with you and Sortov, wasn't he?
A little bit. I played a few games with him here and there, but he beat me actually like just before I stopped playing a few times, and yeah, it was Swamos though, so he didn't count.
So he's the reason you quit, or?
No, you are. You are, Stefano.
Okay.
I'm glad that you asked. But
It's all your fault, Ilias. Thanks very much. His ZvZ is fantastic, by the way. PiG ZvZ. I mean, obviously all that SEA training down there. That he's got tons of Zergs to play, obviously, on the ladder as well. Great in ZvZ, but his ZvT maybe not so good. So does it hurt him more, the fact that he's got to play Happy first? Or is that actually a blessing, do you think? Get that first kind of rough game out of the way and then he's warmed up?
I don't think he can be too happy about it. He most likely would have preferred playing Zergs, but there is Happy in that group anyway, so he might have had to play him at some point. So I guess he probably practiced, at least focused a minimum on Terran versus Terran with keeping in mind the bigger picture of having two Zergs in the group, and he's going to have to beat at least one of them.
Okay. Stefano, rate PiG's chances in this matchup. I mean, it's a difficult game to win because we know that Happy's going to play very steadily. He's going to do the things he normally does. He's going to do them very well. But does PiG have something in the arsenal, do you think, that he can actually puncture Happy's defence?
Well, when I look at him, I don't see any worries in his face. He looks really confident and like safe. And I like this expression before a game. When you see someone like he starts sweating and he's shaky, you know like he won't be able to do anything. And right now he looks really fine and he's blushing hearing me saying that. So I have faith in him. I think he can, yeah.
Okay. Overall predictions, let's talk predictions now. Happy or PiG?
Why don't Stefano go first? So it's gonna
No, just go ahead.
I'm going to go for Happy. You want to score?
Yeah, let's do scores. Let's do
scores. Time as well?
No, let's drop this one. It's like futile, yeah.
2-1.
Right. So 2-1 Happy.
Go ahead first. I just want to be sure.
I don't want to do predictions.
Okay.
I'm 100% from yesterday.
Come on,
so
you asked us to do it.
You don't do predictions on air, but then you brag about how you got 5 out of 5 rights, and even though nobody has any proof, so why don't we get it on the record?
Can we get the VODs up from yesterday? I'm pretty sure I got those right.
Yeah, but you didn't say anything live, like maybe for one or two matches.
Yeah, called the man a game.
Like you act in live as if you don't really care, but once we go off, like you just be honest and just say it. Come on.
I love getting predictions right when it's against you.
Okay. So I go first. I would say I would say Happy 2-1 as well.
Happy 2-1 as well?
I don't want it to happen, but I think it will happen.
Right, okay. The two former Warcraft 3 boys have gone with the Warcraft 3 veteran as well. 2-1 to Happy, they say. Let us know what your predictions are. You can use all the usual social media channels, both on Facebook and on Twitter. Make sure you're following the official StarCraft channel, @StarCraft on Twitter. Use the hashtag #WCS as well, if you wouldn't mind. That'd be great too. Time now to send you over to our commentary team for game number 1 in Group D. Can the Aussie do it, or has the Russian got something up his sleeve? Let's find out with Apollo and Kalaris.
All right, two players from different regions in 2014 now battling once again here in 2015 as we join everything together and get it going. I'm looking forward to this one. I always like to see that dynamic when players that don't necessarily usually meet each other butt heads.
Yeah, it's funny because PiG has actually never played, well, not really played against these players at all. There's only one that really stands out, which is Targa. So it's going to be fun to see how these two match up. But as much as the desk feels that Happy is the one that's going to be taking this, I have to feel the opposite here.
Okay. Any particular reasoning behind the choice that you're making here?
I feel that Happy is solid, but I think that Pig's going to be coming in with a couple of surprises, a unique style that Happy isn't used to playing against, and I think that type of play is where Happy's weakest.
All right, well, looking at the maps here between these two, we're going to start things off on Vani Research Station, go over to Overgrowth, which was Pig's pick, and then finally Catalina if we need it.
Yeah, so the map pool, I would say the first map here, definitely in favor of Happy, as well as he's picked it too. And then it does swing over in Pig's favor. And then Catalina, to be honest, I think that's a difficult map for Pig to play on here. So the map pool, the three that we're going to play on, do edge slightly in favor of the Russian.
All right, well, we'll see if he can win it out. But thankfully for him, he's only had to play and practice against Zergs for this group. So for me, that gives him a little bit of an edge, of course, but the three Zergs are not to be trifled with. Yeah. And they also, all, in my opinion, can bring very different styles to the table, which might catch Happy off guard here.
Yeah, I think that Happy, especially because his playstyle is so one-dimensional, that will get exploited the longer the games go. So I think this first series, he may look strong, and I may be wrong, he may beat Pig here, but the longer the games go for him today, the more games he plays, the weaker he becomes, because you can't just use the same thing over and over and over against three different players if he was to play against three today. It becomes too easy to exploit.
All right, well, let's get into things then. It's going to be game at number 1 on Vani Research Station in this best of 3 to start things off in Group D of the World Championship Series Premier League here live in Cologne. Spawning down to the south, it's our red Terran. It is Happy. And up to the north, we have our blue Zerg. Representing Exile 5, it's Pig.
Who makes his debut into a Premier League, in the main Premier League this year too. It's his big chance, as I said in the video very early on. It's a golden opportunity to move through to the round of 16 for the very first time. So not only the first time in the round of 32, but the first time to move to the round of 16 too. He's got a Terran I think he can beat, and he really, really is solid in Zerg versus Zerg, and I think that's going to shine through today. Yeah,
he's had almost concentrated practice in the region that he's been in, obviously, having a lot of Zerg versus Zerg for years and years and years, basically.
I mean, he's had Zerg versus Zerg games forever in Australia, and he's had Igers that he's had a rivalry with for a long time. Yeah. And I don't think there's an Australian Protoss.
No,
so I mean, this is the perfect group for him. It's actually the perfect opportunity for him to move through. But on the other hand, Happy is the most experienced player in this group by far. By far. 7 times in the Premier League now. He's played against top-tier Koreans. He's beaten them. He's lost to them. If it came to experience alone, Happy's first place every single time.
But the interesting thing off that is that, of course, in 2014, every single WCS, his results were getting better and better and better, up to the point where he did get that 6th through 8th in Season 3. Now, if he goes out in the round of 32 here, that's got to shake things up a bit. It's not really the kind of result you expect from a guy like Happy.
Yeah, Happy has definitely had his ups and downs throughout the years for sure. And 2014 started pretty weak, to be fair, but definitely got stronger the longer the year went on, with his top 8 in WCS Season 3 and his top 8 in DreamHack Moscow. Very close to finally getting his top 4, but we'll see how well he can do this year.
Well, for now, these builds are shaping up, and it's just normal. From the other side, on Pig's side of the map, we're actually just having an SCV moving out here to do a little bit of scouting off the back of a Reaper opening from Happy.
Yeah, so Reaper opening by Happy here, and I didn't see the barracks timing, but the second supply depot does suggest that this is going to be 3 Reapers. Whereas on the other hand, Pig's moved out to the middle, or not so the middle, but more out into the open to take his first hat-trick, which is a little bit more uncommon. It's more difficult to defend because it's out there, it's in the open, compared to the other one that's packed away in the corner, but you can start your creep spread much earlier, push it out into the middle, and of course we know that creep spread is a key element in victory.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to help him out quite a bit in defensive posture later on in the game. He already sees this bunker as well, so he should be able to deny this a little bit. The SCV can be a bit tricky, though. That's why we saw Happy pull that off for a second there and try and get it into a position where the drone couldn't get to it. And it's been successful so far. He almost got a drone there.
Well, the bunker's going to get up here, I think.
With the positioning of the SCV, very difficult to get to that. So that's the successful bunker.
And that has to, it's forced Pig into 4 more Zerglings, which you never want to be able to do at this point. Never want to do here. There should be drones.
Yeah.
Queens and whatnot.
Got to get those queens out. They're going to have to buffer for a lot of this because we're going to have the second Reaper on the way. Third Reaper is in production. And then once they all couple up together, and if they actually get over here without that bunker really taking much damage, then once the trade goes on at that bunker, it's going to be quite significant.
Well, in and out that bunker. Nice micro here by Happy, but he is going to lose this bunker in a second.
And the Queen from the back causes a little bit of issues here, so he's going to have to move down further south with these Reapers, making sure he's not taking too much damage there. But he gets a few Zerglings for his troubles.
Yeah, very good start here by Happy. Very, very dominant start.
He'll just head to the natural and see if he can get any drones, and he's going to get at least one, which is a nice pickup as well. I mean, technically, this really shouldn't do too much normally, but we've seen the power of this 3 Reaper build really show itself.
Zergling speed, very close to finishing. That will instantly kill off these Reapers, but they've done so much damage, killed a lot of Zerglings, they've killed drones. He knows that speed is on the way, so he's going to back off. To be honest, it's almost a perfect start here from Happy. One thing that really separates the both of them, of course the experience we've talked about, is that PiG just hasn't played in many tournaments. He hasn't been on this type of stage very often. I think he played in maybe 3 tournaments last year, 2 DreamHacks and an Asus ROG, I think it was. And that was it, compared to Happy, who's been playing and traveling for a very, very long time here. And the class could show itself.
Yeah, it could. Especially since behind all of this, he's not really doing anything gimmicky. That's not what we know Happy for. He's just going to the 3 command center. I think for the most part, that's really been spotted here by this Overlord, which is being tracked. Yeah, he sees the second command center on the left-hand side here, with knowing that there's going to be one in the natural as well.
All right, so the next part of the game is going to go on now. Already good creep spread here from PiG. Very, very important to start pushing this out. That's why he took this hatchery here. He's taking the back 3rd expansion, which is going to be untouched. Nice and safe back there. But here comes the next stage. Going to be the Reapers that were at the start, joining together with the Hellions to continue harassment to Queens this time. Not just a couple of Zerglings, and if he finds drones, he'll take them too.
Looking for the Reapers to try and tank at the front, just so that he can pull those back and keep the Hellions healthy. But the focus fire here from PiG could be good. It's already got worked on Hellions alone there, so that was a nice start for him.
And notice how no more energy is going to be used on these Queens. He needs to save energy to be able to transfuse each other, because they will take a lot of damage coming this next few seconds.
Yeah. Just protecting those creep tumors quite nicely. This little crevasse causes a few problems in movement around, but the Queens are okay, and he managed to get one of the creep tumors, which was nice, so has to relay that one.
Banshees are going to be on the way. Currently no detection for PiG. No layer, no spore crawlers down.
And we're seeing just the added on in the infrastructure here now for Happy, who will be rocketing up in that macro. And see if we can get a few creep tumors here.
Yeah, he's chosen to play mech of all things. I think mech's very strong on this map.
What gives rise to that in terms of the map dynamic?
Just look at the mini-map, for example. It's narrow, it's thin, you just push down one way, and it's very difficult to get good surrounds. For example, the natural 4th, where these Hellions are slightly off to the left-hand side here, you can push up this cliff area. You can have tanks on the left-hand side cliff, which are almost impossible to stop. It's a beautiful map here for mech if you push along this lane.
Yeah, this could be actually very, very difficult to break. The creep spread is going to have to be quite important if he wants to deny that from really gathering momentum down that left-hand side. That's why we're seeing PiG for the most part, of course. I mean, it helps against bio as well, let's not forget that, but it is a very important component of the Zerg's arsenal.
So PiG's got a lot of Zerglings here, and he wants to kill off all of these. He's expecting the Hellions to come on to creep very shortly. He's looking for a full surround.
And if he gets it, it'd be nice.
He's got to go very shortly here.
They're very well spread out, but they're all going to come in from one angle, and that's not really where they wanted to come from. If it had gone around with the side on the left there, then that would have been ideal, but they will retreat out and have a few volleys hit them.
This is so many Zerglings out on the map.
And right now they're not doing anything.
No, well, I mean, look at them.
Yeah, no, just sat there, chilling out for a bit. And they are going to get a bit roasted. Not only that, but with the Banshees coupling with this army as well, it adds an extra little wrench in the works there. That 5 Queens, when everything's cloaked up and they're having to deal with the ground force, might not necessarily clean up.
And if you think about it, all those Zerglings have really hindered PiG's progression in this game. There's 50 Zerglings out there, which haven't killed anything. Sure, they've been able to keep the Terran from launching themselves at him, but his economy is much weaker than Happy, who took his 3rd base a very, 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 very long time ago.
And he's setting himself up well, not only to be able to deal with any kind of Mulus that will come along later on, but even the missile turrets in those positions to deal with anything that's burrowed would be very nice. Look how many Hellions are here. These Zerglings try and go for the full surround, but the Hellions dance out and they take huge, huge damage. This Ro32 that's coming in might be a little bit too late.
Yeah, this control from Happy's been absolutely spectacular. He's basically lost almost nothing.
Yeah, he's doing very well with that. Very well. He's only lost 4 units during this entire game so far, whilst killing off around 53. So that's so many Zerglings having gone down. A few Queens as well. And the Banshees are still alive, which will continue in production because they complement the mech style so nicely.
Yeah, maybe I was a little bit overeager with my predictions here with Pig being able to beat the Russian Terran, because this has been very, very one-sided.
He's looking solid.
He hasn't done anything aggressive himself yet. He's just been taking damage. Look at the units loss difference between the two of them.
Yeah, Happy is controlling this game pretty well. And the creep is going to start spreading once again. This is an ambitious 4th base, to say the least, as that will be force cancelled, and then even the drones here will die. He's even getting the creep here as well. So he's had, despite the aggressive position for the creep before, he's had no opportunity to really push it any further than this 4th.
Yeah, and that hatchery's going to get picked up nice and easily. And this is all harassment, remember. This is a little bit of harassment on the edge of the creep, and he's just kind of building up this army back at home. Whether he moves out very shortly, because there's really not a lot for Pig to defend this type of play. He can take it slow, he can take a 4th base, he can go to 200 supply. There's pretty much anything Happy does right now is the correct thing to do.
Yeah. Even the Roaches that have come out, trickled out here, are being harassed and poked at by the Hellions and actually causing some kills on them, which this has been fantastic for Happy. The Surrounder's trying to come in here against these Hellions, and he will be able to clean the rest of it up, but it might be a little bit too late here for Pig.
Well, he's cleaned all that up, and that's actually the first good move that we've seen from Pig being able to finally deal with that, even though this kind of play is dealt with a lot earlier on, because you usually have a Roach one a lot earlier, but it was added on after the layer had started. Now we're going into Roach Hydra play off 3 bases, can work on 3 bases, but he needs that 4th up. He needs to respread creep. Very shortly, Happy will start to move up that left flank as described, and it's going to be very, very difficult for Pig to engage up a ramp with no creep, with minimal units. He doesn't have Hydra range yet, he doesn't have Hydra speed yet. It's going to be difficult for him to do it. He's got a good economy now.
Oh, and he's going to deny the space again. There's no creep for even Queens to get out here. The Hydralists are going to be a little bit too late to the party. And that dies. It didn't even get cancelled, so Pig wastes a little bit of money there. It does scan and drop and see the fact that there is that hive morphing in.
Yeah, Swarm Host I thought would obviously come into play soon. You need this unit to fight against mech. It's the most cost efficient and it's the best way to do with it. Roaches and Hydros will eventually get beaten up by tanks and gut upgrades. And that's a smart move to do. But is he actually going to effectively get a lot of Swarm Hosts into this game?
It might be difficult. He doesn't have much gas at the moment, and actually the gas is straight going into Vipers. For the idea of blinding clouds, I suppose, once this engagement comes along, Happy could technically push very, very soon with where he's at in terms of his macro. He's even repairing the Banshees to make it all the more difficult for that to happen. But here comes the counter-attack for Pig, trying to go into the main base. 1 supply depot raises, but not 2. And there is a few units here to try and clean this up, but at least he gets the start on some of these SCVs.
Anything's a win. I guess it's still a win. 2 SCVs, a minor win. And here comes the push very shortly. I think he's going to want Siege and start to move out. He saw the hive, he knows the hive morphing, so he needs to go soon, hopefully. But I mean, this is perfect for Happy. It's set up on 4 bases, his economy's fantastic. The only thing he hasn't really done is start 2-2 upgrades, which is a pretty big mistake, I would say.
Yeah, you would like those gear and getting into gear, especially with 2-2 finishing up for Pig here. Of course, the upgrades against a mech force, when they're actually powering out a lot of damage, it's difficult for the Roaches and Hydras to really do big damage. It's going to be all about those Vipers, getting good blinding clouds. Even Abduct could be a potential shot here to actually grab some of the Thors, grab some of the siege tanks into the army.
Well, it looks like this one's going to be a long one. Swarm Host play against mech. We're going to see an air switch very shortly after the starports have all finished up. Happy is going to expand to the right-hand side here to get another base up and running with a planetary fortress and just really skyrocket with the amount of money that he's got in the bank too. But yeah, this is going to be a long one for sure. Swarm Host play. I mean, the key to success with Swarm Host play is you usually see Swarm Host combined with Mutilist to be able to give some form of harassment here. But I don't know how PiG's going to do this. Maybe dashing in with waves with the Locust, with Roach and Hydralis behind to try to deal some free damage and then back out once the Locusts are all killed off.
I wouldn't even mind the idea. Oh, he starts Pathogen Glands. I was about to say, I wouldn't mind the idea of Infestors getting in the mix. So you can lock it down and then have the Locusts do their damage basically for free. Well, as free as they are. And Roaches and Hydras, for now, I'm just going to push that away.
And Air is almost not an option for PiG because he didn't start Aspire early enough, which means he hasn't got any upgrades for them. And they're just not going to cut it against what we already have out from Happy. So it feels like PiG would need a perfect engagement of a combination of Infestors locking the units in, then to have the Blinding Cloud on top, then the Locust and the Roach and Hydralis all attacking at once. But I think that's going to be hard to achieve.
Well, those Locusts die off to start things. And this is going to be a little bit difficult because once the scan drops on those, if he is able to keep the Banshees alive in the right positions, then that'll be a fantastic little tool to actually bring down some of those Swarm Hosts, as the Siege Tanks are going to try and zone out the Roaches and Hydralis. And this is a very, very strong push. The Swarm Hosts had to retreat out very quickly here.
They just need to keep dealing damage. And ideally, PiG must save this base to the left.
Oh, they go a few abducts on some of those Siege Tanks to bring those out in the game. A few Infestors, though, end up getting brought down as well, and that really does hinder him here. This fourth base is gonna fall. There's no defense here for this, and he's separating his medevacs up, so he's actually gonna go for harassment while this is going on.
This is a very difficult game for PiG. He's lost that very important expansion. He's got almost no money in the bank.
And look at the way the Siege Tanks are actually separated on that left-hand side. If a Blinding Cloud's to hit any of those,
correct,
it's not really that effective. Only maybe against one or two of those Siege Tanks. So that was a very lovely little split there from Happy.
Correct. And Happy can start to trade very cost inefficiently because of the amount of money that he's been able to build up and bank up across these multiple bases which have gone untouched throughout the game. Yeah,
very, very difficult to actually shut this kind of play down. Multiple command centers are being thrown onto the ground here for Happy to just rock it up in terms of the amount of mules he's going to have at those bases, mine it out very fast. 3-3 is on the way. Extra upgrades are starting from PiG from the air, but will they be enough to thwart this army that's going to be available to him?
I don't think so. I'm trying to think, and I have been for the last little bit, of the way that PiG would even try to get back into this game.
And it's going to be a fusion core. Oh, there's a fusion core. Well, Happy, the thing is that Happy has made his name, for the most part, on the back of games like this. He loves these late game situations. He's very well versed, very well practiced in them. And he'll shut down the Locust waves, and then once this transition comes out of a big air switch for him, I mean, how does he deal with this army? Never mind the next one.
Right, and all Happy's game plan currently is destroy the expansions that the Zerg is trying to get up to bring in more money, and build up the ultimate air army, which will consist of Banshees, Vikings, and battle cruisers by the looks of it. Maybe a couple of Ravens can throw into the mix, and there just simply won't be enough money for PiG to ever deal with it.
Still good splits on those Siege Tanks at the back, so any kind of forced push to Blinding Clouds. The Siege Tanks at the back were not as well split as we would liked, but he gets the expansion, pulls on out. At least we're seeing PiG grab a few Vikings here to kind of bring down the air number that's going to occur, but it's still an ambitious move to try and, again, kill this army and then kill the second.
And very shortly we'll see the sacrifice of a lot of SCVs. He's got a lot of orbital commands. He's got 82 SCVs around here, but at this point when you have so many orbitals, you don't need to mine minerals anymore. It's all about gas. You have so many mules that the SCVs that are mining minerals are going to lose their jobs.
Yeah, you can stick around on like even something as silly as 20 SCVs and they'll just bring in all the gas that you really need, but looks like the Locust Wave is going to try and push forwards again. Not really much you can do. There's a ton of Corruptors here to help out and maybe bring down those Banshees, which is a nice little compliment to them. Nice fungal, actually, which will continue to be locked down on. And maybe he can kill off a few more of those Banshees, but every time he walks forwards, he runs into Siege Tank fire. Whoop, and a few Thors do fall. But slow and patient here. Slow and patient as a few more abducts do go down, catching some of this army, but the replenishment is real on the other side for Happy. 7 Vikings and 2 Thors on the way.
Yeah, PiG also has got a lot of money in the bank because he is playing cost efficient too. But it's not a war that I think he can win over a long time here.
Yeah, the war of attrition is certainly in Happy's favor with the amount of income that he has. And then once the army supply overall gets extremely powerful, and these battle cruisers come out as well. You've got to remember, those battle cruisers pop out with 3/3 upgrades, so they are pretty darn good.
Yeah, Happy very aggressive with the tanks. He actually doesn't really want them in the game anymore. He's going to try and pick off as much as he can and then make a full army transition, or full army switch, should I say. Thors to support the air army, and then a couple of Hellions right at the front to take some of the damage away from the Thors. It's a beautiful combination of units which are going to absolutely demolish what PiG has.
A few more abducts on siege tanks, and we'll bring those down, but as you said, Happy's content with what they've already done on that left-hand side to bring that 4th base down. He scans the gold again, sees that, and probably will be able to push onto there in just a little bit. 5 battle cruisers in production at any time.
He scanned that right-hand side base and decided to send 4 Hellions to just deal with what are over there, because there really isn't any defense.
No, he hasn't had the opportunity to even throw down the static defense. There's a few drones on the way there to actually do that. And he will lose a few of the Thors and siege tanks on this left-hand side to some Locusts, which is a nice pickup there for PiG. But oh dear me, that was quite a few drones. And, I mean, of course he has some gas in the bank, so he could get out quite a few infestors actually with the composition, but he really needs a bit more minerals if he's wanting to win out this war of economy.
Well, currently there are 12 Corruptors against 13 Vikings, 4 Thors, and 3 about to be 8 battle cruisers. It's a war that Zerg can't win. There are a couple of infestors, but there's only 2, which means a maximum of 4 fungals here.
And Yamato Cannon comes in as well, which makes those battle cruisers all the more annoying. They will be able to start one-shotting some of those Corruptors once they come into the battle. So,
a very solid game from Happy from the very get-go here.
Yeah.
I didn't expect him to just start so strong today.
And the thing is that this is exactly how he's going to play out all day. Pretty much. This is how he's going to play out all day, unless he really wants to switch into bio. He's going to lose some of the siege tanks up to the top, but that will be replenished and replaced with a few battle cruisers. Starts his Raven upgrades as well. And once Ravens enter the mix with the idea of battle cruisers and Vikings being complemented, it's very difficult. Hunter Seekers zone out so well.
I don't think he should wait for Ravens, to be honest. He can move out with what he has, and it's good enough to beat what PiG does.
Well, unless some amazing fungals land.
I mean, I feel sorry for PiG, because at this point, when you're playing against a Terran, you're like, well, I'm starting to fight back against the ground army. Oh no, there's an air army. There's a blinking air army.
And you've got to pay heed to something like that when you're playing against a player like Happy, because there's always something extra. There's always a transitionary method going on behind what's happening at the front of your base when he hasn't really had much scouting information.
And the more time that Happy gives to PiG from this point on, the more equipped PiG will eventually become, because now he's like, oh, okay, I am playing against this air army. Let me get the infestors out. Let me further upgrade my Corruptors and build a lot more of them and start to play around that. So it's about time that we see Happy move out and start to, spread his units and take the engagements that can take him map number 1.
Locust doing not too bad over at this location. He managed to actually get some of that creep spread further down towards this base, and actually it wasn't even a planetary fortress anyway on that middle point, but we have a lot of battle cruisers now, a lot of Vikings. Ravens are being added in, and this is becoming impenetrable unless we see a massive Corruptor go-to army that suddenly swoops in from a Remax, but he doesn't have the money for it.
No, he doesn't. He's trying to gather enough resources to do so, but the income's very low for this point for PiG. He's struggling with minerals so much.
And a few things are going to get Yamato'd. Some of those Corruptors fall there. Actually, that was a lot of Yamato. He's actually thrown down a fungal, so locks some of this down, but with every infestor, with every Corruptor that falls, there's not very many minerals for
Battle
him.
cruisers have a lot of hit points. They do not die very easily.
Not at all. And the Yamatos keep raining down. They were able to bank so much energy during this.
Happy supply just isn't dropping, whereas PiG's is plummeting.
Yeah. That was a great trade for him. Just walks in, decides, I'm going to kill all of these units in one shot, and it's going to make it very hard for you to actually battle back.
Yeah, very good finishing move here from Happy. He's been in the lead from the 3rd minute in the game. Or from the get-go, when he decided what he was going to do would be good enough to slow PiG down and take full advantage of the situation. He's played this very smartly.
Yeah, this game was Dragon Ball Z. He was powering up for a few episodes, and then here comes the big Kamehameha with these Yamatos. This is a bit brutal here for PiG to deal with in game number 1. Varney Research Station didn't go quite his way, and he was on the back foot all game long.
Absolutely here. There's been very little that PiG was... I mean, there's been no instant where PiG was winning.
And he's been driven all the way back to his main base. There's only a few swarm hosts here that remain, but the battle cruisers are just going to power on forwards. nothing to stop these guys at all. I mean, at that point, you could have even gone for something crazy like Neuroparasite to try and help out, but it's not going to work. And there you go, GG. Happy takes game number 1 in very convincing fashion. That is a prelude, one would say, to this entire group, and our Zergs are going to have to be a bit careful here.
I would definitely be smiling if I was happy too. That was clean, minimal mistakes. Everything went the way he wanted it to go, and he made the game look very simple and very easy to play out. Pig is a very good player, but Happy just separated the both of them instantly.
Oh yeah, from the word go, he was in Pig's face, constantly harassing, constantly pressuring, and back home he was keeping on top of things. That's the great thing, that you can pressure and pressure and pressure. If you're letting things slip back at home, then nah, but he wasn't. He was always on top of it.
Pig decided to take that expansion out in the open, which was the more dangerous of the two positions he could have taken, but he wasn't up to scratch with the defense that was necessary against Happy. His 3 Reapers, his control, his Hellion control, his Banshee usage, all those 3 units combined together were too much for Pig to deal with. And, you know, Pig plays a lot on the Korean server, so he has had some experience against this, but he, like I mentioned earlier, just hasn't really played too much on these types of stages and is limited in that department, whereas Happy is like, well, it's kind of the same like another ladder game.
And I'm wondering, because the thing is that I felt that going into this group, that Happy will be hit by all sorts of different things to try and catch him off guard as he just plays a normal, standard, stable play. But
I think he will be throughout the day. I really think he will be.
All right, well, actually, we're going to go to a break before we get into game number 2 here at the World Championship Series between Pig and Happy. All right, welcome back to the World Championship Series here between Pig and Happy. Game number 2 is going to be loading up, and we're going to be going on to Overgrowth here. And for me, personally, I've got to give Happy a big favor after seeing that first game. That was a call, and that was pretty strong from him.
Very solid performance. As much as PiG came here with good intentions to try to advance from this group, and we know that he's under pressure and lacking a little bit of experience, but he has to step it up now. This is the tournament, this is the league that everybody wants to play in and everybody wants to win. And on Overgrowth, it's where he must turn things around.
All right, spawning up to the top right-hand corner, the winner of game number 1 in the red, it is Happy. And down to the bottom left-hand corner, needs to bring it back here in this game. It's a very, very tough group, doesn't want to be going down into the loser's position. As our blue Zerg representing Exile 5, it is PiG.
I think trying to mix anything up on this map for PiG would be the wrong decision to do. I don't think that would be the right thing, for sure. I think he just has to play his regular game. It's the best thing to do at this point. He's, all right, game number 1 didn't quite go as well as I wanted it to. Let me try again in game number 2.
That actually brings up a good point of what I wanted to mention before the break, is that the way Happy opened, even if one of these Zergs does actually throw a curveball at him, that's something that is quite aggressive, Hellion Banshee opener with prolonged Banshee production can actually shut down a lot of early aggression from Zergs. So Happy might have just come into this group saying, well, I know that people are probably going to throw some aggression at me, so this is a pretty safe opener if he continues on to do it.
Yeah, he might use that quite often today.
All right, well, we'll see what he wants to get up to. As for now, there is the gas already been added on here for Happy, and he'll be able to get some Reapers out there and do whatever he wants to do.
This is going to be a much more comfortable map for PiG. This is a map that he has played 1,000 times now against multiple different Terran and Terran styles. Whereas Vanni Research Station, yes, it's been out for a while, but nowhere near the amount of time that Overgrowth have been out. So I think this is just going to be the more comfortable map for him to sit on, play better, and move on to game number 3, and then think about what to do next. It has to be the map to do it.
Yeah, definitely. It should give him some comfort. For now, there's going to be a SCV moving out, which will be the little scout before the Reapers actually get in there and try and do some damage. So ideally in this situation, PiG shouldn't be losing too much to these Reapers.
No, the SCV here is to once again pressure with the bunker that the Reapers can jump in, because that's where it all started and really spiraled a little bit out of control, was from the very bunker. He got a lot of damage dealt there, killed off multiple lings, got drones as well. Let's see how well PiG deals with it this time.
There wasn't much reaction from that drone either to jump on top of the SCV as it did get over here. So this bunker might complete without any hindrance at all, which is a bit annoying there for PiG.
He's going to have to save these lings until they're all together, and then get a good surround with the Queens too.
Whoop. He's going to get himself 1 ling already, so these will have to be replenished as a few more kills do happen. Already forcing out an extra pair of lings there. But here come the Queens from either hatchery to try and sandwich him between this position.
Yeah, 8 Zerglings is the right amount to be building at this point, and then the surround should come shortly with Queens. Should be enough to kill this off.
Yeah. Oh, trying to get a drone though. And does manage to get it before a Spore Crawler actually starts there. May have been blocked by that Queen, but in the end, he gets himself that drone. So that's a nice start. And did he actually dive in? He did go in there and see that it was gas. So he knows how much time he has basically to stick around with these Reapers.
Correct. So he still has about 30, 40 seconds worth of time.
And he'll be able to exploit that for a little bit.
Correct.
Maybe try and get a creep tumor. Does get that. That's a nice start as well.
And a second gas has been taken back at home for Happy. He's no stranger to types of Hellbat plays, but as you said, he may be looking to just kind of stick around the standard opening that is very common recently with Terrans, which is the Hellion Banshees, which it does look like it's going to happen, and it has been scouted too.
So PiG not really going to try anything too crazy just yet. Speed's just going to finish up, and then those Zerglings can at least be present on the map and try and control the watchtowers and position themselves in such a way that they would be able to intercept or spot any kind of movement out that will come along. But I wouldn't be surprised if Happy does the same as last game. Just goes with his Hellions, with the Reapers that he's kept alive to buffer for the little bit of initial harassment.
I wonder if we'll see mech again here by Happy. It's a decent mech map.
Yeah, he can go for that. He's going to start the cloak on the Banshees as well.
Yeah, and he's starting to build Marines at this point, or starting to build a Marine. I wonder if he only builds that Marine and then switches into mech. I mean, he builds the Marine to deny any scouting or further scouting.
Yeah, he hasn't been too ambitious about throwing any extra tech lab or reactor on that just yet, on that barracks, as that Marine's now popped out and the barracks is free and not producing, so it gives rise to the idea if he sticks with a similar style.
Good starting creep spread.
As this base has been noticed, and even gets, gets another creep tumor. There is a drone down there that was hiding around, and even a few more actually coming for the transfer. You does see the Banshee already moving out, but that Overlord may end up dying to that one Marine.
Well, he's got to start thinking about either starting a layer immediately or thinking about building a spore close towards his third base or on that third base once it finishes.
Yeah, it can be fraught with danger. There's the layer now on the way, but it's a little bit of time before that's going to finish up. And he even gets more creep tumors at the front here. Notice that there are quite a few Zerglings looking to pursue, so doesn't want to go too far.
It's a lot of Hellions.
And he's adding on 3 spores across these bases, one that will trundle on the way down to that third base. But the Banshee's at the front with this army, and if that cloaks up, you're not going to be spotted for a while.
Mistransfuse.
And he's getting the ones with the high energy as well, which is a really good start for him because, you know, it denies any kind of extra transfuses landing on the weaker ones.
He lost 2 queens there, and that was just a mistake. He just didn't transfuse.
Well, he's got to be careful now because this is not over just yet. Happy is going to look for angles on that third base. As the creep here technically is over there, but if the Spore Crawler took some damage at the front, that Banshee would have free reign over this location.
Yeah, Pig finding it very difficult to keep up with Happy's harassment here again. Another queen goes down.
And the Zerglings don't get much done at all. Cloak has been activated, and he does poke forward slightly there to actually have a bit of a hit and go off from that Spore Crawler, but there's so many Hellions, those Lings can't really do a whole lot against that. They get a few of the Hellions at the front, but for the cost of so many Zerglings and Queens.
Happy is being able to beat Pig just with his harassment. It's very unfortunate here for Pig, who I'm sure he expected to do a lot better today, but he can't keep up with Happy.
Oh dear me, there's a few roaches on the way, but it might have just come too late. The 7 about to pop out here with the initial 3. They will be able to do a little bit of damage to these Hellions, but they've done so much, and he's going to get this third hatchery. I mean, how is he going to deny that? The Spore has to reposition itself. I think this could die, though, if he just finds another angle.
If that hatchery goes down, this game is almost over.
It's going to fall. It's going to fall, and it does. Oh, dear. So much pressure being put on from Happy's just initial harassment, and it's double armory behind this. Back into the mech. Happy's showing us a very, very strong series so far.
Yeah, this is very, very one-sided, unfortunately. I expected it to be a little bit closer than this. 3 Banshees now, altogether. Again, Happy's micro just absolutely top tier. Minimal mistakes, getting exactly what he wants at the right time. He's moving a selection of Hellions around all the time, not controlling all of them at once, just a couple come to the right, couple go to the left where the Lings are following them, and he's just extracting so much value from every single unit that he's got in the game.
And he finds his base as well, which just cannot be defended by Spore Crawlers, can't be defended by any anti-air at all. So even if the Hellions get pushed away, the Banshee's just going to sit there for a while and be annoying because there isn't enough creep spread for the Queens to get over there and really deny that. So tough times for Pig. He had to try and double expand to get himself in a good economical spot, but it's not going to be the case just yet.
Yeah, I think some type of 2-base layer could have been much stronger type of build to use in this game here. He's having a very difficult time spreading himself across 3 against the Hellion Banshee play. A lot of the European Zergs at this moment are playing that type of play, 2-base layer, 2-base roach, slowly taking the third, because you do get spread really thin, difficult to be able to deal with this type of play.
And the Banshees just have free reign over this, even actually engaging a Spore Crawler straight there for a second. He does lose one of the Banshees, but trying to find some of these Queens in middle ground, which one will fall. The second one got saved by Transfuse, and actually, there's no Spore Crawler in this mineral line, Sean.
No, this is very difficult. The layer is finished, so you can morph an Overseer. It is on its way, or at least there's one over there.
Yeah, but if you don't have any anti-air, there's one Hydralisk about to pop out. The Queens need to come down and help this, but well, the Hellions don't find too much room on the right-hand side. At least Pig's being able to shut that down.
30 odd drones have been killed, 34, just through this Hellion Banshee harassment. And again, when this type of play is happening and the Terran is all over you, Pig has no options to be out on the other side of the map slowing the Terran down. a lot of the times in regular games, Terran sometimes are scared about moving out too early with their third base in case they get run over by some type of attack, but there is nothing that PiG can do in this game. He is on the back foot, he is defending all the time. Happy's got free reign with double armory, third command center down nice and easily. He checks the expansion there, sees no drones, and is like, I am so far ahead in this game. My economy's better, my army's already stronger than yours is. I've got double upgrades finishing up, which means I can go to 2-2. There really is no department that Happy is behind in.
Yeah, and if by chance PiG had the opportunity to push onto this location, now look how well fortified it is. So many siege tanks, well spread out. They have the complement of even a few missile turrets being added on just to make sure no burrow shenanigans is happening. So very, very difficult here for PiG, who is... This is a bit of a landslide, basically.
Yeah, it's not close. As Happy at this point knows he's so far ahead with his economy. The only one way he would lose is if he got attacked maybe before he had a large enough army to stop it, which is why he's in such a defensive position with a sensor tower and turrets and a command center and buildings blocking the way.
No. If this by chance was to go down, well, the Hellions go into the third base as well, looking for extra drone kills. Anything they get here is a big pickup, and he gets plenty of them whilst this is going on. GG, well played. As that is it. Happy 2-0, his first game here. And that was very, very well played by him. Really coming into this group and making a statement from the start of the group.
He pushed PiG aside and said, welcome to the Premier League, my mate.
Yeah.
This is what we do over in Europe. And unfortunately for PiG, he now goes down to the elimination game.
The PiG gets put on the floor. Poor little guy.
Duck, okay, I'm going to keep this down here until a little bit later on.
Yeah, when I can gloat.
I'll bring you back after.
Oh, well. Oh, well. He still has another shot. He's going to be going up against a guaranteed Zerg in the lower portion of this group. But obviously our two Zergs need to battle it out next to find out who's going to be going up against the Killer and Happy, and who's going to fall down to play against PiG. So still a lot of variance in this group, still a lot of opportunity here, even for PiG, who falls in this first series.
And he's packing up his stuff here, and I mean, when players lose like this, you very rarely get to go over to them immediately and be like, okay, what are you thinking right now? Yeah. And that's what I was thinking then, looking at him, being like, okay, like, I don't know if he's going over the game, if he's a little bit disappointed in himself, if he were, you know, he's like, I could have done so much better, because all these types of emotions instantly start to creep through. And
I'm going to be very interested to see how the other Zergs approach Happy going into the next couple of series. But that's going to do it for our first game here on the caster's desk. Let's head over to Paul over at the analysis desk.
Thank you very much, James. Yes, with Dimitri, aka Happy, who is very happy, pardon the pun. Great first match for you to take a victory in. Explain to me, I mean, from our point of view, watching it, it looked very easy, and no game is easy, of course, in the Premier League, but explain it to me from your point of view.
Well, I can say it looked pretty easy. I just think I played quite well, and my opponent played worse than me, so I won. Actually, I prepared a lot. Like, ever since I seen that I had 3 Zergs, I thought, like, why not to try and practice only this matchup. I think I played, like, 200 custom games only with Zergs, something like that.
Wow, that was funny, actually, because we talked about that beforehand. And some of the guys said, well, maybe it doesn't make too much difference to Happy because he plays kind of the same every game anyway. But it's interesting that you felt like there are 3 Zergs in this group, so you have to play more custom games.
Yeah, but still my style is quite familiar for all the players, so I just practice it to execute it as good as I can.
Okay, you had a great end to 2014, did very well at DreamHack Moscow, did very well at WCS Europe in the final season as well. Can you use that and maybe 2015 go even further?
Actually, I don't think top 8 is that great. I actually expected way better results because on WCS I made it to land stage only on 3rd season, so I can't say the year was that well for me overall. I hope this year will be better, but who knows, we'll see.
Okay, all right. Todd?
I'm a little bit surprised that you say that you practice custom games. I remember once upon a time, it might have been last season of WCS, you had to prepare for a match, or like for matchups in particular, and I remember talking to you and asking you about a practice group, to which you answered, no, I don't need a practice group or custom games, I only need to play ladder. So why did you decide to change that?
Well, because I have only 1 race opponent.
But it was
also, I just thought to try it out. So
is it better?
Well, I just won one match. I didn't advance from the group, so
Okay,
we'll
so
see.
we're gonna wait before we can decide on that. Okay, we got a replay ready here. And I want to talk a little bit about the second game here. In this situation, you went for kind of like a 4GG style of, you know, like having a lot of Hellions and Banshees and attacking. And you were on 10 Hellions, 2 Banshees against a Zerg who's so far only on a bunch of Zerglings and Queens. What is the priorities here with your Hellions and Banshees? Is it keeping them alive or like making sure that you trade cost effectively? Or do you ever think about just going in, suiciding to get drones sometimes?
Oh, well, considering that I killed like 2 queens, I think, before just for free, I thought I had big advantage.
Yes.
So considering that I made so much aliens, I needed to do some sort of damage. There can't just sit down and wait until I attack his hatchery, so he will be forced to engage. And this engagement was pretty bad because he went off creep, so all the links died.
Does this attack by you ever get completely shut down by Zerg, or is it always sort of a success? Do you always trade?
Yeah, if he had like more queens, if he didn't lose the queens earlier, or if I would lose benches somehow, or if he will do like a better creep sprite maybe, so he can surround my links, or I mean surround my aliens.
So you think once you kill 2 queens already, you're in the driver's seat?
No, I just had the advantage, so I tried to do something.
And at this point, when you kill his hatchery, do you think it's over completely already?
No, but I knew I had a big advantage, so...
Okay.
All right, well, thank you very much, Happy, and thanks for taking us through the replay as well, Todd. Happy will be back in the winners game a little bit later on in the show. Next up, though, we do have a battle of ZVZ, or will it be VR? We'll find out after the break. Join us then.